Life Takeaways. It is all hands on deck with our bite-sized segment, jam-packed full of information. We want to give you fast food for thought from our experienced team here at Spinal Life Australia to give you a taste of what we can do for you. So let's cruise with confidence. So today we've got Natalie Toth, a support coordinator from Spinal Life Australia and an avid cruise lover. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello.
So when it comes to traveling and getting out and about, we asked the question, why? What is the reason that you travel? What is it that's deep inside you that makes you want to get out and about?
I love to explore. I love to get to meet new people, see what's out there in the world, take a few extra risks and just, get out there. And I love cruising.
Yep.
And there's so many different options out there with cruising. And it's just so more accessible, I guess. Once you're on the ship, everything's there ready for you. Once you're in your room, everything is in the one area, as opposed to when you're on a plane and you have to get out and about. Down the street, there's, you don't have to worry about the transfers to hotels and to activities. Everything's in the room or on the ship, there for you.
So when you're on a ship, things like all your activities, are they, you feel like you're included in them, and they're used to having people with all different levels of disability being
Definitely.
on the ship, so they're a lot more inclusive?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it depends on what cruise ship you go on. Some are more suited to different demographics, but definitely they've all got something for everybody. And again, it depends on your budget and what your interests are. Whether you like gaming or sports or culinary experiences, everything's there in the one location for you to experience.
They have like a program and everything
as
well.
Do,
so
yes.
you can, that you're going out to dinner on this night, and they've got different activities set up, so you can predetermine all of the different types of clothing that you need to take.
Exactly.
And you can take that extra time to be able to get dressed before an event and not have to worry about calling a cab. Will it show up?
Exactly right.
How am I going to do my transfers in this long dress and all of that
Exactly.
kind of stuff.
So it's all pre-planned. Everything's organised for you. You just kind of have to rock up, decide where you want to go on the day or the afternoon or the evening, and everything's there sorted for you.
That's awesome. So when it comes to being able to choose a boat, do you find that that some rooms are hard to come by? Some accessible rooms are hard to come by?
So it does depend on the actual cruise line. Anywhere from 15 to 65 rooms are your general availability for your cruises. So you do have to get in early, get organised.
How early?
12 to 18 months.
Wow,
so as soon as they release the schedule, you're best to get onto it as soon as possible.
Okay, is that for most boats, or is there a different demographic that each boat will obviously cater to? So is it?
I generally find some of them cater to the older demographics, some are to the younger demographics, but it just depends, what you'd like to do and whether that's an issue for anyone.
And you don't have to go for long trips overseas or anything. I've noticed just recently that there are a couple of 3-day cruises that are dedicated to like an 80s nights or country music nights. So you can always do those short ones as well. So
yeah, there's quite a few sampler cruises. So if you've never done cruising before, I'd probably recommend go on a short sampler cruise. Just see if it's for you and go from there.
So when it comes to researching a cruise, where do you start?
I guess with any holiday, you just go with what you're interested in, whether they've got the activities that you like, what you need in terms of access as well is really important. So whether you want to, go on a bigger ship or a smaller ship, whether carpet's an issue on the ship, whether you need a bigger room. There's so many different room options as well when you're on cruises.
How do I know what a room looks like? If I need to know, if it was a hotel, I could just, ask somebody for photos, or it seems to be a little bit different. How do I know that it's going to be accessible?
Some of them, a lot of them do have information on their websites. So they've got the sizes of the rooms. There are pictures available for the rooms, but otherwise just, do a bit of research online. There's different platforms you can get extra information from.
Excellent. And when it comes to being able to set up everything that you need, because I feel like, that's another scary thing about cruising is once you're on the boat, you have no access to anything if you've forgotten it or,
100%.
So all of this pre-planning that needs to be done, what type or what recommendations would you say that are must-dos for pre-planning?
Definitely look at what equipment you do need on the everyday and start getting prepared for that. whether, you might need extra equipment. So if you don't have a travel commode and that's something you use a commode at home, definitely look at discussing, with your plan, if you've got an NDIS plan, discussing whether that's an option to maybe purchase one through there or have one available. But definitely look at all the equipment and resource and bits and pieces that you usually use and how it'll work. Because when you're on the cruise, you are limited to the cabin and everything has to stay within the cabin. So you can't use other rooms, you can't put it outside your corridor or anything like that. It's all got to stay in your room. So that's hoists and anything is all going to be in your room. So you've got to make sure that the room you pick is big enough.
Oh, it's a bit tense because I think, I think that's one of those things is knowing that you've booked it so far in advance and once you're there, that's it. It's a little bit scary. What was it like when you first cruised?
It's always the unknown. Like any holiday, you're not sure if it's going to work. And then I guess you just, next time if you're interested in cruising, you just pick a different room or you pick a different experience or so you just learn as you go, really. It's a matter of taking the risk with any holiday. Try to be as prepared as possible. Think about what you use on the everyday. And then I guess you just kind of try to make do with what you can.
As far as I'm just thinking now, like any kind of medical backup, is there a doctor on board? Is there, a place you can go to if you start to sort of become or feel a little unwell? Because I know that's something that may happen.
They do have medical facilities on board, so that is an option if you are feeling unwell, for sure.
So in a previous episode, we've discussed setting up a safe zone. So, when we live at home, we have a really safe area and it's really easy for us to get around and get what we need whenever. When you get onto a cruise ship, you're kind of going in blindly and not knowing exactly how to set up this safe zone until you get into that door and then now it's time. So how do you go about making sure that you feel safe and secure and that, any of the needs that you've got aren't sort of going to be in the way? Have you ever had things go wrong or had to problem solve?
I haven't had too many things go wrong personally. I found it more challenging when I've been out and about in towns with trying to make compromises in the bathrooms and so forth. But I've never really had too many problems in the actual cabins because the stewards there are fantastic. So you get your own personal steward for your room. And so anything you might need, whether it's an extra ramp to get out onto the balcony or extra towels you might need in the bathroom or bin liners or anything extra you need, them to raise things, lower things, modify things, your room stewards are the people to go to. But I've personally never had too many issues.
That's amazing. So you've got someone at your beckoning call as well to be able to help problem solve anything that goes wrong.
And that's regardless whether it's an interior room or everything up to a full suite room.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that also includes changing your towels from a monkey to an elephant.
That's the best part.
And it is. It's part of cruising. I loved it. So with the floor plan, so you find the floor plan online, and when you get there, it matches and everything sort of seems to be fine there.
Yeah, 100%. So you can request whether you want one queen bed or whether you want 2 single beds in the room, and they'll configure it to however you need. So if you need room either side of the bed, they'll move the bed to the left or the right. However you need the room set up is how they'll do it. But generally what the floor plan looks online is how it is. But again, your room stewards will be able to accommodate. So if they need furniture moved out, move furniture in, beds separated, beds together, however you want it, they'll be able to modify it.
That's amazing. That is. It makes setting up that safe zone so much easier. You can just then worry about how to get to the food and to the bar.
100%.
That's great. So Natalie, one of the really cool things about having you here today is the fact that you are a support coordinator as well as an avid traveller on cruise ships. So I wondered if you had any advice as a support coordinator utilising your funding packages. How do we do that, and what's some of your best advice?
So we definitely can't use our NDIS funding to go on holiday. We can, however, use our funding to explore options around having extra supports while we are on holidays.
Yep, so taking your
support worker there. But I'd highly recommend have a chat with your support coordinator, your local area coordinator, and see what you can do around your budget constraints and your funding and what options are out there for you.
Okay, and that goes the same for being able to find equipment that's more suited to travelling onto a cruise ship.
So you might have a commode at home that you use, but that might not be foldable. So you might need to explore options to have one that you can travel with. And to get that, you need time, you need to research, might need to get hold of your occupational therapist, do reporting. So again, it's all about research, planning, finding out what works for you, and then having those discussions with your supports coordinator or your local area coordinator and working within the constraints of your plan or your budget.
Fantastic. What about STA funding? How can that be used?
Yeah, so that's short-term accommodation.
Yeah.
That's within everyone's plan. But again, you just would have to have a chat to your supports coordinator or your local area coordinator to find out what options are available to you and how you can effectively and efficiently use that for your plan. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that information. That's a lot to think about. I know the last time I was on a cruise, one of my biggest tips is being able to say yes to everything and give everything a go when you're on the boat. It's so much of a great experience. If you had any tips for everybody listening, what would your top 3 tips be?
Definitely research the ships that you'd like to go on, the itineraries, what you'd like to do. Secondly, definitely research the room that you'd like to, that suits your needs. Some are bigger, some are smaller. You've got your interior rooms, you've got your balcony rooms, you've got your mini suites. So they all vary in size. So if you've got more equipment, you'd obviously need to research which suits your needs better. And thirdly, get organised with what equipment you need to take with you and who you're travelling with and just what you'd like to achieve when you go on your cruise.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. If you've got any tips whatsoever of your cruises, we would love to hear them. Leave them in the comments section below. But thanks again for joining us. And hopefully we will see you again for our next takeaways.